All right, your offer was accepted on a house. Now what? Well, first of all, congratulations because you got the house. And then maybe 5 minutes later, you think, oh my gosh, we got the house. Now what? Because when you're buying a house in Colorado, getting your offer accepted is a huge moment, but it's also when everything starts moving pretty quickly. And the celebration is real, but so is the overwhelm. Suddenly, there are deadlines, there's earnest money, inspection, your lender, the appraisal, oh, and title, there's insurance, and you're wondering, what happens after my offer is accepted, and what do I need to do first? And if you're moving to Colorado and you're not even here yet, that can make it feel even more overwhelming. So whether you're buying in Littleton, Lakewood, Golden, Arvada, or another West Denver suburb, here's what I want you to know. You're probably more prepared for this moment than you actually realize, because we've been talking about these things throughout your home search. You've been asking the questions, you've been learning the process along the way, and now we're going to take what you've learned and put it into action. And we're going to do that one step at a time. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what needs your attention first, and then what comes later, and how we can keep everything moving, even if you're not here in Colorado for part of it. Because you don't need to know everything that happens next. You just need to know what needs your attention next. And every step we take from here gets you closer to that really exciting part, getting the keys to your Colorado home. Okay, your offer was accepted. So what actually needs your attention first? First, let's get oriented. Once your offer is accepted, all those dates and deadlines that we've been talking about, well, now they are your dates and deadlines. So one of the first things that we're going to do is look at what's coming up next. What needs to happen first? What deadlines are approaching? Who might be contacting you? And what does your lender need? And what do I need from you? And what decisions might be coming your way? Now, I don't expect you to memorize your entire contract. That's not the point. But I do want you to understand what's actually happening. I want you to understand why it matters and when something needs your attention, because there are going to be decisions that are yours to make throughout the process. And I'm going to provide you with the information that I have. I'm going to help you understand your options, and I'm going to talk through the potential risks and benefits with you. Then you decide what you're comfortable doing. And once you've made that decision, I'm certainly going to advocate for you. We're not trying to tackle everything between now and closing day all at once. We're going to take it one step at a time. And one of the first things that may need your attention is the earnest money. Now, for earnest money, we've already talked about what earnest money is, but now there's an actual deadline attached to it. Your contract will tell us how much earnest money is due and when it's due. And we'll make sure you know where and how it needs to be delivered. Now, here's where my buyers who are moving to Colorado from out of state sometimes have another question. And that question is, Nicole, I'm already back home. How am I supposed to get an earnest money check to the title company? Well, you don't necessarily need to be here in Colorado, depending on the arrangements for your transaction, because you're able to wire those funds. But if you're wiring money, I want you to be particularly careful. Wire fraud is real. Now, if wiring instructions unexpectedly show up in your inbox, don't automatically assume they're legitimate. We'll get you in touch with the title company to make sure that you get the appropriate instructions and making sure that you're sending money the right way. Okay, earnest money handled. One thing down. See what we're doing? We're not thinking about everything that has to happen between today and closing. We're handling what needs our attention right now. And then we move into the next step, which is often one of the biggest milestones after your offer is accepted, the home inspection. And this is something that we've touched on while you were touring homes. But now we're talking about your house, the house that you've put an offer on and that's been accepted. So this is the opportunity to take a much closer look at the property that you just buy. And the inspection isn't somebody walking through the house and giving a big green check mark that says, oh, this house is perfect, because I am still waiting to find that house. The inspections give you more information about the property, and your inspector is looking at components of the home much more closely than we did during a showing. And depending on the property and what comes up, there may be additional evaluations or professionals that make sense to call in. And this is where we focus on the specific property that you're buying. A home in Golden may raise different questions than the home that you considered in Lakewood. An older home in Littleton may have different things that we want to understand than a newer property that you looked at in Arvada. It's not about making assumptions based on the city. It's about looking at the particular house and determining what information you need to make an informed decision. I'm intentionally keeping the inspection fairly high level today because I've got a video that addresses inspections separately. There's a lot more that I want you to understand when we actually get there, but for today, here's what's important. Inspection gives us information, and that information may lead to decisions. We'll look at what we learned. We'll talk through the options available to you under the contract. We'll discuss the potential risks and benefits, and then you decide what you're comfortable doing. Now, if you're moving to Colorado from another state, you may be thinking, do I have to fly back to Colorado for the inspection? Now, if you're able to attend the inspection, that is fantastic, but sometimes work schedules just may not permit it. Sometimes travel may not work. And sometimes another trip to Colorado simply isn't practical. So if you can't be there, that's okay. I will be there and I will attend the inspection. And when appropriate, we can FaceTime with the inspector so that you can still participate and see what they are seeing and ask questions. Being in another state doesn't mean you're disconnected from what's happening with your home purchase in Colorado. And while we're working through inspection, there are some other things happening at the same time. Oh, and yes, your lender is still here. In fact, you're probably going to be hearing from your lender even more now that you're under contract. And if you thought getting your offer accepted meant you were finished sending documents to your lender, well, I've got some news for you. Probably not, because your lender is continuing to work for you and on your financing. So when they ask for information or documentation, that you're going to make sure that you respond promptly. And this probably is not the time to decide, you know what would look fantastic in the new driveway is our brand new car. Because I want you to talk to your lender before making significant financial changes while you're under contract. At the same time, if an appraisal is required for your financing, that's going to be moving forward too. And I'm not going down to take you down the appraisal rabbit hole today. We'll talk about that another time. So for now, understand that it's another part of the process that may require our attention depending on the result of the terms of your contract. So meanwhile, there's title. You'll likely receive information and documents related to title that need to be reviewed. And if your property has an HOA, there may be HOA documents and information to review as well, depending on your contract and the property. And then there's homeowner's insurance. You'll want to start working through that process and any lender requirements rather than waiting until we're a couple days away from closing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nicole, you told me I didn't need to feel overwhelmed, and you just gave me 4 things happening at the same time. And that's fair, but here's the difference. You don't have to manage all of these moving pieces by yourself. You need to understand what's happening. You need to respond when something needs your attention. And you need to understand the decisions that are yours to make. This is where some of that preparation starts paying off. You've actually been learning this process all along. Now we're simply applying it to your purchase. And there's something else that I want you to be prepared for, because not every transaction moves in a perfectly straight line. Sometimes something may come up during the inspection. There could be a question with the appraisal. Something in the title work may need attention. Your lender may need additional documentation. Something we didn't anticipate may happen. And if it does, I don't want you immediately thinking, oh no, everything is falling apart. Sometimes we've simply reached another point where we need more information, or you have a decision to make. And that's when we go back to the same approach that we've been using throughout this journey. What do we know? What additional information do we need? What options are available to you, and what are the potential risks and benefits? And what are you comfortable doing? I'm not going to make those decisions for you, but I'm also not going to leave you staring at an email thinking, what in the world does this mean? We'll talk through it. We'll make sure you understand your options. This way you can make the decision that's right for you. And then you know what? I will advocate for that decision one step at a time. And then at some point during the process, you're going to notice something. That initial feeling of, oh my gosh, there's so much happening, it starts to settle down. Inspection Well, we've worked through it. Your loan, it's moving forward. Appraisal, if applicable, it's being addressed. And title, that's moving along as well. How about insurance? Well, that's coming together, and suddenly the list of things still in front of you starts getting shorter. And something else starts coming back. That excitement that you had, because you're no longer looking at homes in Littleton, Lakewood, Golden, or Arvada, and you're not wondering, could this be the one? Because you found the one that you've wanted. You've put in the offer, they've accepted it, and now we're getting closer to making it yours. And your lender is moving forward on that final approval. Closing information starts coming together. We're addressing the remaining pieces of your contract. And then we get a part of the process that I really enjoy, the final walkthrough. Think about the first time you walked through this house. You were looking around wondering, could this be it? Now you're walking through it again and you're getting ready to own it. That's a pretty cool feeling. The final walkthrough gives us an opportunity to look at the property again before closing and confirm the things that need to be confirmed for your transaction. We're looking at the condition of the property. We're making sure personal property that's supposed to remain is there. And depending on what's happened during the transaction, like in the inspection, we may be confirming that as well. So right now, those keys are getting really close. Here we are, closing day. We've made it. And I want you to think about where this whole journey started. At one point, you were simply thinking about moving to Colorado, to moving to West Denver. Maybe you were sitting in another state, searching online, trying to figure out whether Littleton, Lakewood, Golden, or Arvada, or maybe somewhere else in the West Denver suburbs might work for what you're looking for. Then you started figuring out what that move might actually look like. What mattered to you? Where did you want to start? Where did you want to focus your search? What type of home worked for what you were trying to accomplish? Then you started touring the homes. Some you liked and some maybe not so much. But every one of those homes gave you information. You learned what mattered. You learned what didn't. And eventually, you found this one. You decided that you wanted to make an offer. So we gathered the information. We looked at the hyperlocal market around that particular home. We talked through your options and the potential risks and benefits, and you decided what you were comfortable with. And then they accepted your offer. And for a few minutes, you celebrated, and then you came to the, oh my gosh, now what feeling. Well, look where you are now. You handled the earnest money, you worked through the inspection, you stayed connected with your lender, you navigated the decisions that came up, and you made it to the final walkthrough. And now, you're at closing. You'll sign the necessary documents and complete the remaining pieces of your purchase. And once the transaction is complete and possession occurs according to your contract, we finally get to the moment that you've been working toward, the keys. And that overwhelm that you felt when your offer was first accepted, it's looking a whole lot more like excitement right now because you're not asking what happens next. You're thinking, we're moving into our Colorado home. And that's really what I want you to take away from this video. When your offer is accepted on a house, it's completely understandable to have mixed emotions. You're excited, you're relieved, you're nervous. And yes, you may feel a little overwhelmed, but you're not starting from zero. You've been learning this process all along. You don't need to know everything that's going to happen between your accepted offer and closing all at once. You simply need to understand what needs your attention next. And that's why I believe so strongly in preparing buyers throughout the journey. When we get to these moments, the terminology isn't completely foreign. The steps aren't completely unfamiliar. And instead of trying to absorb everything at once, we just simply revisit what you need and when you need it. My role is to help you navigate those steps, making sure you understand the decision in front of you and be sure to advocate for you every step of the way. Because every one of those steps is getting you closer to something pretty exciting, owning your Colorado home. So if you're planning a move to Colorado and you're considering Littleton, Lakewood, Golden, Arvada, or another community in the West Denver suburbs, and you want to start preparing before you're standing in a house saying, this is the one, be sure to download my free Colorado relocation guide. You'll find the link in the description below. And if you're following along with my moving to Colorado relocation roadmap, keep watching. Keep checking out the videos on my channel so you'll know what to expect when you start your home journey. I'm Nicole Rabalato with the Mama Bear team at Exit Mosaic Realty. And remember, life is short. Live somewhere awesome and be well. We'll see you next time.